So yes, I think everybody, I hope at least everybody knows UNICEF. Show of hands, who knows UNICEF? Everybody. And who knows the UNICEF Innovation Fund? Less people. So that's great because that's what I'm here to present. So the goal of the fund, we're part of the Office of Innovation, which is to say, yes, you can help, but you don't have to help using technologies or processes that are 10 years old, 50 years old. You can benefit from emerging technologies, and then it should be done the right way. So the Office of Innovation has a fund. The Innovation Fund is about $20 million. And we invest year after year. So it started 3 years ago, more or less. All the statistics will be on the website, and I'll put the link on the slides after. But yes, it's about 60 countries, about 8 million invested, about 100 projects, more or less. Obviously, it goes and it moves, but everything is updated live on the website for complete transparency about how it's done, with whom it's done. The goal, the whole concept about the Innovation Fund is, as I said, to use emerging technologies to get the benefit out of it. And to do so, we look for this intersection between a billion-person need and 100 billion industries. So the goal here is not to do non-profit, but to help entrepreneurs so that they're going to build on the local ecosystem. And so you can see crazy things like quantum computing, blockchain, things that drones, 3D printing, and of course here on the bottom line, virtual and augmented reality, which is what I focus on. So in order, what is actually the point of the whole fund? Like, what do you get as an entrepreneur if you apply and you get accepted? So you get $100,000. No equity, meaning that we don't take shares in your company, and your company remains your own with your vision. You get all the communication from UNICEF, like what I asked at the beginning, who knows UNICEF? Everybody raised their hand. So it is an important pathway to communicate to everybody what you do, how you do it, and how it makes sense. The local network, so we don't just go and help anybody anywhere. There will be a UNICEF office, and then people there are going to know, for example, who designed the curriculum at the national level. People are going to know the different schools, the different universities, and can eventually put you in touch and in contact to facilitate basically introduction. And you get 1 year, actually 1 year, not 1 year, of support, including workshops and monthly call. So this is when I come and I know you as an entrepreneur say, hey, what have you been doing the last month? What are your KPI? Have you sold anything? How is your technological stack evolving? What have you done? Do you have tests? All this. So I'm being a little bit, let's say, not pushy. I'm going to check on your progress. And I do this also with the rest of the team in terms of, I focus more on the technical aspect, but then there will be somebody else focusing on the business model, focusing on contacts, introduction, like I said, open sourcing correctly, etc. So we do the monthly call, and that's also a way to make sure that the investment makes sense. So we're not going to give you 100K cash day one. We're going to give you, let's say, I don't remember the exact number, but let's say $30,000. And then month after month, as we validate that your expenses make sense, then we're going to give you the next tranche of funding. And then workshops. So here on the slide, you can see that it's a bunch of entrepreneurs, me and the rest of the UNICEF Innovation Fund team to do hands-on workshop. In terms of design, in terms of implementation, communication, how it makes sense about open source, all that. So that was done in New York, and it's going to be wherever we can gather all together. So I can mention the previous slides, we focus only on emerging technology. If you're already focusing on something that is well established, it might make sense, but it might not have the impact we're expecting. So like I said, VRR, drones, etc.
Sorry to interrupt, Fabien.
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt. Can everybody see the slides moving? It's a real shame not to see the slides if it's all of us. If it's just me, I can live with that. Can we get some sad faces if you can't see the slides moving forward?
Okay. So nobody can see the slide, just me.
Okay.
That worked before.
Yeah, you know, because you're saying some great things, and surely some things on the slides that we need to be seeing, and I want to see.
Yes,
so
indeed.
I think what is it? Serenity. I don't know if you're there, or Donna. Sorry to kind of muscle in on this, but it would be a shame not to see the slides. You know, is anybody there? Any other moderators? Hi, Serenity.
Yes, I can hear you. I'm listening.
Yeah. Sorry to muscle in. I know you were kind of hosting it. I just really want to see these slides, or at least get hold of them after. Can we? Is it on slides.com? Can we control that for him?
Yes, the arrows came up earlier. Oh, hang on, they're moving now. At slide 9, I can see now.
Okay, wonderful.
Yeah,
I see them.
Okay.
The emergency slide.
The thing is, I need to be able to go back.
I can do that, I think.
Okay, can you please then, what time is it? Okay, I can start from the beginning and go faster.
I think we caught most of it. I think unless there were particular slides we wanted to
I think we were there.
But yeah.
Which slide do you want?
Yep, this one is good. This one is good.
Okay, slide 7.
Okay, so you got the slides, you can hear me, you can see me moving around.
Yes.
Yeah, okay, super.
Yes,
and that's it, because I saw sad faces before. I'm like, what did I say? And it's because you couldn't see the slide. Okay, fine, let's get back into this. So yes, so this is the benefit. Those are the benefits. 100K, no equity, you get the power machine in terms of communication that is UNICEF, introduction locally, and workshops on how you can do all those things. And the monthly call with me being a little bit like, hey, what have we done so far? Where do you need help with? Now, okay. The criteria, how did you get actually funded? Well, it has to be emerging technology. Like I said, it cannot be just something like the old, it doesn't work again, the slide?
Here we go.
No, we need someone, now it's just changed, thank you.
Okay, then should I just wave at you for the next one? So you move the slide?
Next slide. Yeah.
Okay, I'll just say next. Okay, thank you. So, like I was saying, emerging technologies, because we want large impact, it has to be based in a country with the UNICEF office, which is very important because I think quite a bit of people here in the audience are in the US, in Europe, so that actually sadly doesn't work. Doesn't mean you cannot help. For example, I usually often invite guests to explain how you manage to get your startup in VR working, how you actually teach using VR, etc., etc. So you can definitely help, you just cannot apply. So it has to be for a country with a UNICEF office. You have to have an existing prototype. It has to be a for-profit company, and you don't have to be open source yet, but you have to be ready to do it, to consider it. So I'm going to explain a little bit more those criteria. Can we move to the next slide, please? Thank you. So the idea for emerging technology, like I said, it has to be an impact. We are ready to help you take the risk. We know that innovation is not easy and it might fail. So startup already is a risk, but startup with innovation and emerging technology is harder. So this is why we put the money forward. We're going to help you get sales also, because like I said, those are for profit. And then hopefully, as you get some sales and some tractions, then you can scale not just to helping 10, 100, 1,000 children, but really the entire country. And that also your help can be, thanks to open source, be used in other countries. So this is to help this push from crazy ideas, technology that can support it, but it's not there yet, to have an impact at scale. Next slide, please. So, like I said, if you're in the US, I'm, for example, based in Europe, in Brussels, Belgium, I cannot apply. First, that would be weird, since I'm part of the fund, but I could, even if I wanted, I was not part of the fund, I can't apply because I can already find resources in Europe in terms of both knowledge and funding, and it might be trickier in other places that don't have, let's say, the Bay Area venture capital and business angel culture. So we're helping in all other places, basically. So you can see on this slide some of the 200 or so submissions we receive from all around the world, and you can see we cropped North America, doesn't make sense. Europe is there just because it's North of Africa, but otherwise you can see we're all over the place. Next slide, please. And one of the criteria, which is really exciting for me, because I'm a prototypist, I do crazy stuff that kind of work, but is ugly as hell. But it proved that it actually can be built. So we don't want castle in the sky. We don't want something that has huge potential, but you cannot actually do. It doesn't actually make sense, or will be there in 20 years. No, we want something that you can actually prove that you can build. You don't have to have something that is works, polished, finished, but it has to be something that you can implement. We're very pragmatic and practical about it. Next slide, please. Yes, the metaphor here is a little bit strange, but we don't want to help for non-profit that are going to be a little bit of funded here and there from public institutions. We want for profit, which doesn't mean you have to be greedy. If you're a little bit greedy, that's fine, but as long as it helps you to gain some independence basically from public finance. So that's why we decided to focus on entrepreneurs with the hope that they're going to help grow the business model and then the local infrastructure in terms of knowledge, in terms of access to connectivity for schools. So it has to be a local push by a for-profit. And then we're going to help bridge the gap. Let's say at the end of 1 year, you still haven't made some profit. You have 1 or 2 sales, but it's not really there yet. We're going to bridge with other investors. Next slide, please. So I was in New York for the first cohort workshop, and I was really excited when I saw this slide. I actually did not know about it. But yes, open source is one of the key aspects of UNICEF investment, because let's be honest, as a startup, hopefully you'll succeed, but the chances are not 100%. So you might fail. And since we put 100K without equity, we want to get something out of it. It doesn't have to be for UNICEF, it can be for other startups, for other entrepreneurs, but we need something. So first of all, in terms of ethos, open source to make an impact at scale makes sense. But also if you do fail, because it's a possibility, then we want you to be able to help the rest of the community, and open source is there for that. It also is in terms of engagement with our developers, because it's emerging technology and can be challenging. We believe it's a strategical asset, which is why I also put a link there in the bottom on open source business model, the value of being open source. It is not just to, in terms of potential failure, it is in terms of being a strategical asset. That's the building block there. And then we have all the different licenses in terms of both hardware, in terms of assets also, like Creative Commons. Next slide, please. So just a little summary again of the criteria. Emerging technology, RNA, obviously, this is what I focus on, but also drones, quantum computing, IoT, etc. Based in a country with a UNICEF office, so not Europe, not North America, not Japan, but everything else pretty much works. An existing prototype, we don't want just like sexy slides with like, oh, we're a super cool team and we can build the future of everything. We want the vision still, but we want that you can prove us that you can actually build and deliver on that vision. For-profit company, so that it's sustained even after we're gone, and that you have to be ready to open source, even if you're not there yet. Obviously, if you already have a GitHub repository with hundreds of thousands of people that are helping, even better. But if you're not there yet, and you're afraid that it might not be the best strategy, we're going to help coach you with this on how to make it a proper asset. Next slide, please. So practically speaking, this is one of the investments from the last year cohort from UNICEF Nigeria in Lagos. They are focusing on bringing lab in a classroom that doesn't have a lab. So here at High School of Jibowu in Lagos, they installed a VR lab with a dozen of headsets, some of Oculus Go, so that children who don't have access to a chemistry lab can discover and play safely with all the materials that they wouldn't normally have. So they started to build some content with the teacher directly. They don't do it in the abstract, they do it in the classroom with the teacher. Next slide, please. So yes, a bit more detail on how it's been done, and right there on the top right, some example of the content that is also, because it's done locally, makes sense. Like you're not going to have, for example, visiting a street in Brussels when you're trying to teach to students and children in lectures. Next slide, please. So we also invested in Creative in India. I have a bias. I work in WebXR, so I do VR and AR on the web. So here the investment was specific for VR and AR on the web. The idea is that VR is still an emerging medium, an emerging technology, but we can use the power of the web to easily share and distribute content, that we can have all this live and shared together, and that the content itself, the content creation, can be done more efficiently by just replicating some assets, something that's been done before. So they were focusing on, they already had content that education specialists at UNICEF thought was of really high quality. So the question is, can you port this quality content not just to a Unity build that runs on one device, let's say the Go, but can you make it actually available on the web so that it runs on the Quest, on the Vive, on the Index, on just quote unquote a tablet, on the desktop, basically everywhere. And again, this is open source, so meaning if you go on the GitHub of Creative, you can see how they've done it, you can criticize, you can help, everything is online. Next slide, please. So this was Nubian VR in Ghana. They are focusing on making an entire library of content and assets dedicated to pedagogy available freely, with again a specific focus on Ghana. Give a little workshop there to again show that it is not a black box technology, because the problem they are going to encounter is that, let's imagine, and finger crossed, I cannot do it with those little hands here, but I cross my finger for them that it will work and they will be able to scale. The thing is, they need the talent there. They need the talent not in Brussels, not in San Francisco, they need it in Ghana. So we gave some workshop there to see, can the developer there do it? Obviously they can, he just didn't know they could do it. And we started to give workshop to eventually help them in the future to hire and scale in terms of developer, artists. So that's also one of really the impact aspect of it. We do want them to succeed and then to bring the whole community, local community forward. Not just help the children there, but help others to help them further down the line. Next slide, please. So UDepic Studio in Chile, so they were focusing on readability and on how to help basically better understand a text in VR. That was high tech. So UDepic Studio is, I'll have to be honest there, it was a little bit tricky and frustrating for me because it's an amazing team, they got some great contact, but unfortunately the situation in Chile, the political situation, makes it really problematic for them. They're exploring avenues in Mexico and seeing where other nearby places they could help. But they have amazing content. One of the co-founder, she's doing research in pedagogy and the impact of VR on pedagogy. So they actually have research-proven result that it is actually a more efficient way, but they need to find maybe investment beyond just Chile. Next slide, please. So that's about it. I wanted to go fast so that we can also have some discussions after. Like I said, even if you're not an entrepreneur, you're not based in a developing country with a UNICEF office, get in touch with me. So that's my Twitter handle, and let's see how we can help them. How you can also learn from them, how you can eventually see what kind of tools or product they are building, and then if you want to help to say, hey, I'm using VR in the classroom, this worked, this didn't work, then we can have a chat together and eventually with them to see basically where you can help. Next slide, please. Now, if you are an entrepreneur from a developing country, or if you know one, or if you actually know somebody who might be, please make them check the UNICEF Innovate website, the Twitter account, get in touch with me. Don't think because one of the criteria that I mentioned they're not there yet. For example, they just consider an idea and they don't have a company yet. That's fine. We're happy to discuss. It doesn't have to be through the formal process at first of submitting to the fund. It can be just a one-on-one chat. Very happy to do so. And of course, if you already have or know somebody who does have a project, just submit it. If it doesn't work, that's fine. You can still submit the next year. And maybe you'll have better ideas also. So thank you very much. If you have any question, I think we have time for questions.
Fabien, I am going to put on my megaphone. I have sent to the audience a hand raise sign. So if they have questions, they could raise their hands. And thank you very much for the work that you're doing. Let's all give Fabien a huge round of applause.
Thank you.
With your emojis. We already have 2 questions, so let me get to that. Michael, you have a question? I'm going to give you the megaphone.
Yeah, hi everybody. Thanks, Diamond. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes.
I can hear you.
Wonderful. Look at that person floating in from the sky. It's good to see. Welcome. Thanks, Fabien. Really insightful, and also nice to know that your innovation lab has got people there that have got the startup experience as well, or maybe you didn't kind of see it through to a position that you wanted to, but it's really kind of nice to know that the people in there know exactly what people with startups are going through on the real grassroots level. But so interesting talk. Thanks for coming. My question is, you mentioned some of the criteria for getting involved or potentially seeking funds. I don't have a company, so a bit of a backstory. I'm from London but live in Italy, and I have a consultancy here, but I work as a self-employed person. That kind of middle ground between kind of cash in hand and a full-blown company. I just wanted to know what opportunities there might be for that, for people in my shoes, and also maybe a consortium of people that could approach people like yourselves. For example, I collaborate with some universities out here in Italy and London, and maybe together coming to you and seeing what opportunities there might be.
So I think being just a one person or a consortium, that's not a problem necessarily. The problem is more that being in Italy or London, we focus really in developing countries. So in countries with the UNICEF office. So it's going to be Nigeria, Ghana, China, South America, but Europe and the US or Japan or South Korea, you just cannot apply. So that's already for this. It's simple, it's no. You can help us, we can discuss, but we don't fund directly entrepreneurs or consultants or individuals, just based on that criteria. The easy way to check is there a UNICEF office, a local office, not the headquarters in New York, but really a country office there. If you actually live, I don't know if Mauritius, if you live somewhere else basically, and you're locally based, then it could be a possibility. And I think in terms of structure, well, we do it, let's be honest, we prefer product because they scale. So if you provide a service, the potential for scalability and thus reach a wider audience is not as exciting for us. But again, if you have a proposal that shows that the service will be able to scale, then it could be interesting too. Does it make sense?
Okay, it does. And just a kind of follow-up point, if that's okay, everybody. I guess I don't fulfill the criteria for, of course, applying for funds, which is no problem. But in terms of collaborative opportunities, like what we're working on here in Italy and London at the moment is a collaborative language learning experiences, and looking at the pedagogical structures which could be applied in VR to support the way people learn English in a more collaborative spoken way. And of course, places like this, Allspace, Rumi, Engage, Mozilla hubs, these are wonderful meeting places for people who do want to improve their communicative and linguistic skills. So in theory, we could kind of come to you and show you a little bit about what we're working on and see if you could connect us or involve us. Okay, wonderful. All right, thanks, Fabien. Thanks very much.
No, with pleasure. We're super open-minded in terms of collaboration and it's innovation. So it's settle in second places, but it's just the funding itself is very structured. So you're not going to get the money if you don't fit those criteria. But for everything else on how to help, please get in touch.
Will do. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. And next we have Serenity. And Serenity, I'm going to give you the megaphone and ask your question, please.
Yeah, I'm there. I just wondered, I'm a teacher myself, but I teach music, singing, etc. With the people in Ghana, etc., the young people you've been dealing with, what impacts have you found on them? How have they been, did it open up their world a bit more? What skills do they gain, or what effects did it have on them?
So we don't do any, well, actually for the next cohort, we're working on having, so the feedback is very positive, but in terms of actual research that show, let's say, an increase of 5% of reading efficiency after 3 hours per month, per headset, depending on different contexts. We just have Utopics that does this, and I can give reference to the research papers they wrote on this. The impact locally is positive, but it's not quantified yet. That's what we're trying to see for this cohort for 2020 to say, yeah, we need some, not just metrics, but way to prove indeed the positive impact on it. For now, yes, in terms of opening the world, it's always it's always a crazy moment when you put up your headset on anybody, not just a child, but to see the jaw drop, like, wow, what is happening? I'm just elsewhere. This is also why I keep giving personally workshops, is to give someone the first time and to make sure that they have an experience that is not just, oh, here is a shooting game, or oh, here is this, I don't know, math content, but that they see the potential for interaction and for learning. I'm hooked on that moment. And for sure, this is the feedback we got every single time. We got some, of course, the challenge here is to make it scalable so that it doesn't work for, I don't know, 15 out of 20 children in the classroom, but 19 or even 20, that's the ideal, 100%. So that is still something that we're working on. It remains one of the challenge to make sure that it remains inclusive. Because there are a lot of different things that can happen in terms of, I don't know, just the size of the head, having some ways that, I don't know, the nose was too small, or some little detail that sounds a little bit silly, but in practice, when you're in the field, let's say, makes such a difference. And you don't want the children all to be super excited with a headset, they put it on, and then you have one who cannot. So you want to find ways to also involve them, doing, for example, pair exercise or this kind of thing. But yeah, the feedback every time was extremely positive.
That's excellent. I mean, I let alone impact on young people. I know when I first put on a headset a year ago, I thought, my goodness, and it's really had a big impact on my life already. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, any other questions?
Don't be shy.
If you're a little bit shy on questions, that's fine. You can also reach me in private after. But please don't think any question is silly or inappropriate or what. Please do ask. I don't claim to have the answers, but I can try.
Absolutely. Fabien, thank you so much. If you have time, we have a portal that goes to another area. If people wanted to join you there to ask questions,
Yep.
There's a social space. Would that be good?
Yep,
And that would give people who may not want to ask the public an opportunity to talk to you privately. How's
Perfect.
that? Okay, well, let's give Fabien one more round of applause, and I will show you all towards the portal to the social space. Thank you again.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me, and thanks for organizing this summit. It's amazing.
Okay, everybody wants to follow me. We'll go out this way. Moving in 2D, I still run into doors. I do. I run into doors. And okay, it's right over here.
Remember to
And
come back for the
it
next
just go
session.
right to that Bluetooth.
What would you like to eat?
Oh, hey, Michael, where are you?
I'm in the bar.
You're in the bar.
You're in the bar?
It's more than 0 kilometers of food.
Hey,
Okay. Well, I'm trying to find you, Michael. Where are you?
Can you hear a sound in here? I learned this today.
Sounding, I can hear like the street ambience outside.
Michael?
Morel said that they took out a popcorn machine, but they left the sound of the popcorn.
Michael?
Phantom pop. Hello.
Michael, you're still on speaker, hon.
Sorry.
That's
it.
No, it's fine. I'm glad you said that to me. I wasn't hosting, but I have got all the host tools, so I could move the slides.
Yeah, I didn't want to muscle in on anything.
Hey.
No, it's fine.
Where-
It's fine.
Where's Serenity?
I didn't mean to yell at you. I thought you were in another room. That's the one.
Serenity, where are you?
We all worked out
I'm
really
at the bar.
perfect.
I'm at the bar.
Oh. Oh, you're at the bar. How do you do that? And I wish I could turn my megaphone out. How do you do that to move the slides if...
For the slides? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
If we go to the screen
I've
here.
got
So I nodded off at my desk.
Yeah,
I
so you
feel
should be able
great
to.
now.
well,
I'm
that's
all
what I
refreshed
thought. I
now
can't
for
get...
another.
Wonderful.
Right, so on the bottom,
There's a nice little
So,
kitchen we've
on
got
the
here.
bottom
Yeah, I have
left of
to
the
say,
screen there, as
Molly
we look
was
at
stopped
it,
after
if I
that.
click
Could
on
use
it
some,
at some
something
point, yeah, I get a little
nourishment.
grey bar comes up,
What's the
bottom
plan
left.
then? What are you doing now?
Let me see if I can do it.
So we've got 2 sessions every
Yeah,
hour.
little grey bar.
Okay.
Oh,
Yeah,
so
I see
let
it
me
when
see.
you do it, but when I...
What are
Okay.
you up to?
Well, I've
Gotta
clicked
go
on
out
there.
now.
See, the thing is,
I've got
I
some
can
work
actually
to
use
do,
those little
but I was passing
things
through
on
and
there.
happy to have helped in some small way.
Oops, I
Listen to
paused
tape,
it.
and that's
Hang on,
wonderful.
let's try again. I can
so,
actually
yeah.
click on those little
It's,
arrows.
that's
it's
great.
going well.
Oh, did you
Well,
just
that's
do
So
that?
I'm gonna
It was me.
take the
But then
headset off
if I
and
could
run
also
some
move it
errands.
by just
Otherwise,
moving
I'll never get
some...
anything
Oh,
done.
it's
And
not moving now.
wishing you
Hang on.
a good morning and
Oh, is it?
opportunity sometime
That was
later
me.
today.
I just
That sounds
clicked
great,
the back
Mike.
arrow
I look
then.
forward to it. You take care.
All right.
Okay.
Thanks, Donna. All the best.
Put it
Yeah,
down.
bye.
Let's see if I can bring that up.
Yeah, sure. Little grey menu
Right,
thing.
I see it when you... okay, now let me see if I can bring it up.
Yeah.
No.
I'm just putting my
Oh,
cursor on the screen.
Did you just do that? Okay.
I
let
haven't
me
done
see if I
anything.
can- Okay, so you mean I did that?
I don't know. I didn't see
Oh, there. Oh, there it is. I know. I'm so sorry. This is fascinating.
No.
This is fascinating to me because I've tried to do it before, and it wouldn't.
Who's that? Is that me?
I haven't touched anything.
Right, I'm not moving those. Who's that?
Okay, I did. It's me.
Yeah, you did it. You did it. You did
I
it.
did. I did.
Yay!
That is so awesome. See, every night I learn something new if I just stay awake all night.
The thing is, Diamond, you have to be careful now because because we've got host tools. If we try and move up, if you try and turn right and go forward and stuff with our arrow tools, that will also move the slides. So if I'm operating the Google Slides, when I'm operating Google Slides, I keep perfectly still because I know that if I try and move, I might move some slides accidentally.
And that's what kept happening to me on stage at VR Church. I would use Google Slides, and it drove me absolutely bananas because I always slide 6, slide 8. I'm like all over the place.
Yeah. So I think when you're using Google Slides, I think you have to keep perfectly still and just use your arrows. Otherwise,
What a
it's tricky.
What a good excuse to stand for yes.
Well, I mean, that's the truth. So can you use your keyboard skills to move? Like right
Yes.
without
You probably
Okay.
can. It's just the
Hello.
arrow ones that move the slides.
Okay. Well, thank
How are
you.
you?
I have learned
No problem.
something else new.
What
Right, I'm
I
going
hate about,
to go into my
about
next
modern-
event now.
what I
Okay.
hate about modern in 2D is if you get stage access, if you're trying to click on something and you accidentally click the stage, like the sickness just drops in my stomach and you're like, oh no.
Hey, Diamond.
Yes, ma'am.
At this time of night, I think for the next, are you around for like? Can you still keep helping us?
I
with the
am.
wall? 'Cause actually, if I can keep taping, I think I should try and tape as many
Okay.
as I can. I should have been doing
Well,
that. Well, I
and
can't work
none
at
of
the
the-
same time.
None of the next sessions have a host, so
because I know that I was planning to, hang on a sec. Let me go back. So what I wanted to say to you is,
Yes.
maybe don't send people to the social space, and we'll keep them in these rooms so that there's an audience.
Okay. Sorry, I just flipped off the.
Don't even think about it. Don't even think about it. Okay, that was just a thought I
That's
had.
fine. Okay, that's a good idea. That's a good thought.
Everybody's just in one room. Now the question is which room. So I'm going to use the thing to go to the room we're supposed to.
And I haven't seen. How do you pronounce that? Uwit? Uwit?
That's how I would say it. But yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
so is he in this room?
Oh, Fabien, are you back here? Is Fabien back here? Okay, I don't know which room, so I'm gonna answer for the.
Now you're breaking up. Okay. So I think he went to the social space. Where'd you go? Hello.
Sorry, as I understood, recording will be in the Discord together with the slide.